Becca Worthington, grief and life specialist. So, what do I do as a grief and life specialist? Well, my mission, and one of the big reasons why I started my own business as a grief specialist or grief and life specialist. I started as a life and health coach, in fact, and moved into grief because that was where my passion was. That's where I really felt I wanted to give the most support. I have integrated the two now, so I actually support people with both the grief side and life and navigating life after loss. But I really felt after my own experience of being widowed and losing my father, I I really struggled to find the right support. I struggled to find people who understood, to find people who could help me heal from the pain of grief. I had amazing counselors, I had lots of holistic help, but the root cause of the problem was, and when I say the problem, I mean going forward after being bereaved and trying to navigate life, was the fact that I hadn't healed from my grief, healed from the pain of grief. Grief doesn't go away. Grief is, once it's there, it's there. And you can still have sad days, and you still remember, you still love them, there's so much still there, and that never goes. But that can get to a point where it's comforting to have them still in your life and still a big part of your life and your memories, rather than painful. And that's the really important bit for me is I had a counselor for 4 years, and she was amazing. And she really supported and helped me. And I wouldn't have coped without her, but it very much got to the point where I realized it wasn't about me talking. I needed to take action steps and actually heal from that pain that I was feeling day in and day out to really be able to move forward with my life. I was renovating a house. I was building a business. I was looking after a very, very sick child. My husband was killed in a road traffic accident and the police took it to court. So I had no choice but to be involved in that. And that was really hard. I had to see the man who was involved in the accident with my husband, and I had to see him fairly regularly. I also had to be looking at pictures of my husband dead on the road. I had to write statements. I wasn't even there when the accident happened, but I had to write statements. I had a newborn sick child that I had to keep stepping away from because obviously he wasn't allowed in court. And I had no choice but to be a part of this. And with everything going on, I had to put my grief on hold to start with, to cope with hospitals and police or court. I then had this amazing counsellor, and I had to start trying to figure out how to grieve. I'd put it on hold for 2.5 years. And then I realised that actually I needed to learn to heal. So much had gone on. I had so much anger and bitterness and hurt and pain and sadness in me that I couldn't function as a mother in the way I wanted to. I couldn't function as a friend or a daughter or a sister, or I couldn't do any of it. And it was this pain that was with me all day, every day. It carried me through into my nights. It just didn't leave me, and that's what I had to heal from. Regardless of the fact that I was moving forward with my life, I was creating a future, but I wasn't part of that. I felt like I was just surviving. I was living through it. I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't really throwing myself into it. I was, creating this. We'd got a new house, and I was, trying to put it together and make it nice. I'd bought a right old falling apart thing that I was trying to rebuild, renovate. And and I was building a business, and I was trying to recreate my life, basically. And I was doing all of that, but I wasn't living because I hadn't healed. So this is where, when I finally found the tools to heal my grief, it was the biggest game changer ever. So much so that I then trained in it and now teach that to my clients. It is so life-changing to heal from that pain and be able to take your loved ones with you and remember and smile and have them with you at all times, and it not like knock you off your feet for a week, is amazing. It really is. And I felt closer to my husband and my father when I learned how to heal from my pain, because that pain wasn't overclouding everything. And so from there, I also have a program that helps adults to effectively communicate with children, which also supports adults in themselves. The tools that the adults will learn from this really, really helps them to move forward through tough times that they're having. I mentioned earlier being a health and life coach. I very much then, after healing from the pain of grief, which is very much the first step, and that can be done at any time you want to feel different, better, or more. I wanted more, and I wanted different, and I wanted things to be better, and I wanted that for years before I actually got to that point. And if you want to feel like that, then you are ready to heal from the pain of your grief. But that is the first step. And then I help people navigate through life. What's next? What's next after you've experienced loss and then you've healed from that pain of grief? What are you going to do with your life? Where are you going to go? What job are you going to do? How are you going to set up life, new routines, but also integrate your loved one into that life if you want to. That's you having the freedom to choose, because you have that emotional space that isn't being taken up by pain and hurt and sadness and anger. When you have that space, you can choose how you then create life after loss. And that's amazing. Of everything that you go through, to be able to do that out of a tough time literally is life-changing. So that's what I do. But I also integrate mindfulness into all of this, because mindfulness was a lifesaver for me from not quite day one. But as soon as I figured out mindfulness was helpful, which was fairly early on, I carried that through the whole way through my grief journey. And I am nearly 7 years, not far off 7 years of being widowed. And mindfulness has helped me literally the whole way through those 7 years. So even before I'd healed, mindfulness kept me together. Mindfulness, I believe, is what got me through day to day. So that is very much part of what I do. I'm a trained breathwork coach. I'm trained in meditation, and I bring all of this, as well as, I've done courses in journaling, in lots and lots of different things, so that I can really have the best knowledge, as well as my own personal experience of all these things, to bring them to you, to open up the conversation to grievers about what can help them and how they can support themselves, but also open up the conversation to non-grievers about how they can support grievers, what to say, what not to say, how they can feel confident in the space of a griever without saying the wrong thing, or not having that awkward, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do feeling, which we have. We're not taught how to support people with grief. We're taught how to obtain things. We're taught how to get a job, make money, buy a house, do this, do that. We're not taught what to do when we lose stuff, when we lose people. We're not taught how to deal with change, loss, and grief. So I am here, and I know there are other people out there who are opening up this conversation, which is amazing. There's communities, there's organizations that are coming out of the woodwork, especially since COVID. And, there is a real support in the world now for grievers. And I am just another person that's trying to bring more support to the world, more support to grievers, and really keep opening up this conversation. It's not a sad conversation, it's an important conversation. My grief talks that I do, especially the ones I do with businesses, we usually actually have quite a few laughs. This isn't and doesn't have to be a depressing conversation. My grief training was not a serious, sad situation. It was full of lots of emotions. Sad emotions, happy emotions, serious emotions, just normal learning, study situations. So please don't shy away from talking about grief because you think it's too hard or too difficult or too emotionally hard. It's a part of life, and it's really important that we have this conversation. So that is what I do. That is how I help grievers. And please spread the word. Let people know. Let grievers know, non-grievers know, because I am here to support so that people don't have to go through what I went through, so people can have an easier journey through grief. All right. There is no one at the door. I have a phantom doorbell ringer. It goes off at least twice a day. So anyway, I'm going to leave you there because now my dogs are barking, and I'm going to send you lots of love. And I hope I can help.